Hello all, today we are going to see about randomized quicksort. So first we need to understand what are randomized algorithms. So randomized algorithms, unlike deterministic algorithm, we have seen so many deterministic algorithm. In fact, whatever algorithm we have seen so far are deterministic. So they will try to solve a problem correctly, taking fixed number of steps. They will have a predetermined number of steps depending upon the size of the input, and they will achieve the output accordingly. So that's how deterministic algorithm works. So this is how they work. The input will be given and we will have a predefined algorithm and we will achieve the output. But on the other hand, unlike deterministic algorithm, randomized algorithm, in addition to the input, they attempt they take random choices. So during the execution, that's how they differ. So this is how they differ when we are given the input. The algorithm will remain the same. The only thing is that we will make some random choices over the input, and then we will achieve the output. The intuition behind these algorithms are that when we do such things, so there is a possibility to achieve a better time complexity than their deterministic counterparts achieve. So we'll understand this better as and when we move on with this lecture. So today we are going to see how a randomized quicksort achieves better than the deterministic quicksort. So first we will recall the deterministic quicksort. So let's take this as an example. So if you remember, we had always taken the last element as pivot. Also first element can be taken as a pivot. So what happens in the deterministic quicksort is that we will scan through the elements in the first iteration. So all the elements that are lesser than this pivot. So that is the pivot element is 20. The lesser than the element pivot will be moved to the left of this pivot. So the only element which is less than 20 is 17, and this is moved to this. Now, since quicksort, we all know that quicksort is a divide and conquer algorithm. So now we will partition the entire array as 2. So the pivot gets its correct position in the first iteration. Then we will do the sorting for this partition, and then we will do the sorting for this partition. So here actually there's no need to sort because there's only one element, and then we have to consider this array and we have to pick 55 as the pivot, and then we have to divide it again, placing the this pivot in the correct position, and the algorithm goes on until we are sorted with the entire array. The only problem is that this partition is not fair. So this partition, so one side of the array, the partition is too small, and the other side of the array is like too big. So the divide and conquer strategy actually does not get things better in this scenario. So the best case of the deterministic quicksort is n log n, and it yields the worst case is big O of n square. So the n log n occurs when the partition is fair. So when we are able to find a very good partition, so that means like pivot is almost the closer to the median of the elements present in the array. So when the divide and conquer, when the division is happening exactly at the middle, or at least closer to the middle, we can achieve this n log n time complexity. So that's where this deterministic quicksort is failing to achieve this best case in these kind of input scenario. Yeah, so when the pivot is closer to the median of the inputs, or it is exactly the middle element, then we have the chance of getting the best time complexity. So let's look at like how randomization can help achieve things better. So there are two randomness we can introduce to this quicksort algorithm. So instead of going for a deterministic way, so the input can be shuffled. So in the previous example, what we had seen earlier, the input can be shuffled, and maybe at that point of time we can achieve a good time complexity. That is one way of introducing the randomness. So, but that can also, if we're not lucky enough, then we can worsen the actual time complexity. So, when the actual array is sorted and we shuffle the input, that is not going to make things better. So, that is one disadvantage of that. And the second possibility of random introducing the randomness is that the choice of pivot. So every time we need not always pick the last element or the first element as the pivot. Every time we can make a random choice. Every time we divide the array into two. So every time when the pivot is picked randomly, the intuition is that it actually achieves the a better time complexity. So that's what we are going to see today. This is the algorithm of deterministic quicksort. So we all know this. Anyway, we will recall. So this is the quicksort algorithm. This A is the input array and P is the initial index, the starting index of the array, and R is the last index of the array. So pointer to the last index of the array. So we need to partition. This is the partition algorithm. We'll come to that later. So this quicksort is like recursively calling the algorithm again and again so that we sort the entire array. So we'll look at the partition. So the partition is nothing but given an array. So we now want to partition at the point at the index q, so that we can call the quicksort again. So how that is happening? A is the input array, P is the initial index, and R is the last index element. So this is the pivot. So the X is the pivot, which is the last element. So remember, we are looking at the deterministic quicksort algorithm. And I is, we have two pointers, I and j. So I will always be initialized to p minus 1. So if p is 1, and then it will be 0. So this j is going to screen the entire array from p to r minus 1. That is the element which is immediately before the last element, that is the pivot element. It's going to screen the array. So the j is going to screen the array, and if it finds an element a of j that is less than or equal to pivot, x is a pivot, remember, then what we are going to do is that we had another pointer, that is I. We will increment that, and then we will exchange a of I with a of j. So we'll exchange the element which was less than the pivot and with the a of I. So and then we will return this position. So this position will be returned, and then the partition happens. Then we will again call the quicksort. So we will do this again and again. So what we are actually doing here is that when we do this, what we are doing actually is that we are actually placing all the elements which are less than the pivot to the left of we are moving all the elements which are less than the pivot to the left of the pivot. So that's what happened. That's what is happening in this partition. So when we call this function, so we are partitioning the array, and then we are again calling the quicksort for first half of the array, so which is partition, and this is the second half of the array, which is partition, and this will recursively be called again and again and again till the entire array is sorted. So this is how the deterministic quicksort works. And the worst case, so we already saw the worst case. We already saw a worst case scenario as well. The whatever the example we saw in the earlier example is a worst case actually. So worst case is calculated. The total time complexity is t of n. This is for the first half, n minus 1. So this is the second half. So this is actually t of 0. So that means the example which we saw already. So there is no element in the first half, the second half of the array, which need not be sorted. That this is exactly the same what we saw in the example. So this is a worst case scenario. So which this big O of n is a cost added by the partition algorithm. So this is t of n minus 1 is the time taken for this quicksort. T of n is the time taken for this quicksort, and this is for this adds up from the cost introduced by the partition algorithm. So when we calculate the entire thing, that is big O of n square. So we can introduce, we can use any back substitution or recurrence tree method to achieve this big O of n squared. And the best case is that when the array is cut into equal halves, so that this 2 is the indicator for the twice the twice the time the two calls we make for to call this quicksort, when they are beautifully divided into two halves. So that's when we achieve this. So we get this time complexity. Again, this is the partition cost. So we get this n log n. So this is how the deterministic quicksort algorithm works. So we're going to see how a randomized quicksort algorithm makes a variation to achieve this n log n. This randomized quicksort, if we watch closer, it's exactly the same. The only thing we introduce is that the random choice of the pivot. So here the random partition, actually the partition algorithm, the returning partition algorithm is exactly the same as the deterministic quicksort. But what we are doing is that we are exchanging, we are making a random choice in the pivot. It's not always the last element. We are picking any element from P to R. What is P? P is the initial index element, initial index of the array, and R is the last index of the array. So we are picking any random choice I, and we are swapping that with the exchanging A of R with A of I. So we are making that as the pivot, and we are calling the algorithm again. So the rest of the story is the same. So this is where the random quicksort is making a difference from the deterministic quicksort. And so we are trying to, the intuition behind is that when the last element is not always the pivot, and when we are able to make random choices, and we are trying to understand whether it is giving a better time complexity than big O of n squared. So that's the intuition. So this is the mathematics behind how this is achieving. I'm not going to delve in deep to the mathematic foundation behind this, but I'll just give the overall view, the gist of what's happening behind to achieve that n log n. So what we are trying to understand here is that it's the expected running time complexity. So we denote that as expectation of x. So this is the expectation running time complexity. That's what we're going to calculate for randomized quicksort. That expected running time complexity is dependent on how many number of times we are making the comparisons. So we have the array. So we said we are going to randomly pick the pivot element every time. So what is the total number of time we are making a comparison with between any two elements chosen from the array randomly? So given n inputs, what is the total number of times any two pair of elements are compared? That's what we are interested in finding. So these two summation is to find. So we said we have two pair of elements chosen to compare. That's why we have two summation running from 1 to n minus 1, and where the other index is running from I plus 1 to n. So when we do this, so what we are actually trying to find is that we call this as this x as a random variable. So because we are randomly picking two pairs of input, and we are trying to understand like how many times they are compared. To make things even better, so we will look at this array. So when we have this array, so let's say we have this array. So we will only compare with the pivot element, so that we know. So in the partition algorithm we had, right? So we take an element, we will compare with the pivot element always. So what is the probability that two elements are compared? So the elements will only be compared if they are in the same array. So they will not be compared when they are split, when they are divided. When the array gets split, they won't be compared. So what is the probability that the two elements are compared? So we are only interested in finding their count. So the probability value is 1 when they are compared, otherwise it is 0. So we can also, this is a probability value, but we are interested in finding the expectation. So we know the difference between expectation and probability. Probability is a measure, it's a quantifier that lies between 0 and 1. So what is the probability that they are compared? But expectation is actually the quantity, how many number of times they are actually compared. So when we look at that, it is actually calculated by the number of possibilities for comparison. How many number of possibilities for comparison between any two variables we pick. So remember why we are doing that is that every time we are randomly making a pivot choice. That's why we are calculating what is the probability that any two elements are being compared divided by number of elements that exist between those two elements that are compared. So if they are farther apart, the intuition behind this is that when they lie farther apart, the probability of them being compared is less. Why? Because they would have got split. There is a possibility that they would have got split and they need not be compared at all. This is how they are compared. And when we actually calculate this quantity, and when we substitute in this, this gets reduced. After mathematically simplifying things, it is proven that we get big of n log n. So that's how we are making a choice. So I'll repeat once again. So this is achieved by since we are making random pivot choices every time. So it is not, we are trying to find, so the possibility of the dividing the array may not be equally, we may not divide the array into two equal halves every time, but when we take the entire possibility, so we will be achieving time complexity closer to n log n. So that is the intuition behind randomized quicksort. So randomized quicksort may not always give us luck. It might worsen. We will get a worse time complexity than this n log n. So especially when the array is actually nearly sorted, so closer sorted, then shuffling things and making random choices make things will not make things better. It will worsen. And but most of the time it is proven that the randomized quicksort will achieve time complexity closer to n log n. So that is about randomized quicksort. Thank you.